But what you fail to see is that's just one side of the story. Suffering, death, pain, agony, loss. When you go out of the church of St. Mary of the Mount, is the ascension, is the victory. As Jesus has his hands up in thanksgiving to his Father for conquering death, overcoming the tomb, and giving us a releasement from the pains of separation, so that one day we would share the victory of our faith. That we say every Sunday after Sunday in the profession of our faith, we believe in the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. What a gift faith is. Since last All Souls Day, 75 family members of our parish here at St. Joseph were called home to God. I wonder of you sitting in the pew tonight, would you have ever imagined that it was your last year to journey with your loved ones this year? Would you have ever thought that? I mean, when I look at Scott and Colin Walsh, twin sons that died on one day. When I look at Barbara and Samuel Chioda, parents both died in the same year. Our husband, our wife, our brother, our sister, our mother, our father, our children, our grandchildren, our aunts, our uncles, our neighbors, our fellow church disciples. All of those that we journeyed with have gone before us. But David in the book of Psalms 1:16-15 says, "Precious in the eyes of the Lord are the death of God's faithful ones." So we thank the Lord for their life. We thank the Lord for the blessing of the grace of the light that they have shed upon our pathway. We thank the Lord for their companionship. We thank the Lord for their strengths and their courages. We thank the Lord for their inspiration, that is the wind beneath our wings as we continue our journey. It's never easy to say goodbye to those that we love, irregardless of our age. Yet we find the comfort and the strength that comes through believing in our faith that we will see them again one day. And that death does not have the last word. That Good Friday is not the finish of Christianity. No, Christ rose victorious from the dead to give us the promise of an eternal life. Jesus promises us two things that no one else can promise us. Says Father Walsh, who's a Sulpician priest for many years. He was the rector of Theological College in Washington, D.C. He says Christ promises us two things. Number one, that our lives are meaningful because Christ lived for us, died for us, and rose for us. And because we live in that mystery, our lives have eternal significance. That we live, and that we die, and that we rise. And Father Walsh says Christ promises us the second thing that no one else promises us. That He is faithful. And we will rise again because He loves us. Tonight, your names are on the easel here throughout the month of November. A time of remembrance, a time of thanksgiving. And these names are written to remind our faith community of those who have gone before us. Tonight, when your loved one's name is called forth, you will come forth with heavy hearts, broken hearts, maybe some anger, maybe some regrets of things not said or done, maybe some guilt, whatever you're feeling. It's okay. Come as you are. And you'll receive a candle, a scented candle, that will burn during this month of November here at St. Joseph with a picture of your loved one on it that we got from the funeral director, or that was given for a prayer card at the funeral home. And you'll have a sense, in a very tangible way, of their companionship, of their presence. And at the end of the month, you can receive them and keep them for your home. You'll also receive a booklet tonight called Beyond Sorrow. The death is a harsh reality. It's a real thing, of a real person, of a real life, of a real loss, and a real pain. So beyond the sorrow, and through poems and some prayers and some people who have experienced death and given us hope, and we'd ask that you take that book home and to reflect on it and meditate on it, and may you find solace and comfort in it. And then throughout this month, up here is the Book of Remembrance, to remember not just those who died this past year, but throughout any time of your life. And by writing their name down, we claim them. And we ask the Lord in His love to give them His presence forever. Every night I go to bed, I fall on my knees before the crucified Lord. And I pray for every soul that passes my way that day. And as many names as I can remember, I remember. And I say, Lord, one day I'll pass, and I'll pass from this life to a new life. And I pray that others would remember me, as memory is a wonderful, powerful presence of their living Spirit. Whether we remember the anniversary, the birthday, the day of their death, the day we fell in love, the day of our child. It's a powerful thing. And at every Mass, we do this in remembrance of me. Christ remembers all of us. He is faithful to us. He loves us. And He forgives us. And for that, our hearts are filled with joy, peace, and love. In closing, a great doctor of the Church, a mystic in the 16th century, who wrote a lot about the spiritual life, a life of perfection, a life of holiness, a life of striving for God's divine life and grace to be part of our journey. And in the seminary, we had this course which was called Aesthetical Theology, and she was one of the main writers that we studied next to St. John of the Cross. And her name was St. Teresa of Avila. We read her books. In one of her books, On the Way of Perfection, she writes this: remember, you only have one soul, that you only have one death to die, that you only have one life to live, which is short and has to be lived by you alone. And there is only one glory, which is eternal. If you do this, there will be many things about which you care nothing. Let us not lose our hope, or our faith, or our peace, for in Jesus everything is found.